Already 2 games in the books on this third day in Salem. Those first 2 games, elimination games. We now dive into our winners bracket in this double elimination tournament. Both of these teams 1-0. The Vikings of Berry collide with the captains of CNU. Berry, the benefit of being the home team here today after knocking off last year's runner-up, TLU, back in their opening game, while CNU handed WPI its first win. WPI earlier today eliminated by the Bulldogs of TLU. TLU lives to play tonight. One of these 2 teams is going to play twice today, not by choice. One of them will be picking up their first loss and will be in danger of being eliminated. Believe it or not, before the end of today, we entered today with 8 teams. We'll finish today with 4. Right now we sit at 6. Lincoln Rose, Sydney Gearbracht with you. Along with our NCAA.com crew, we are ready to go with Hannah Gore in the circle. For the captains, it's Abernathy leading things off.
And some lively offense from both of these teams kicking off our winners bracket play. And exciting to see, you know, CNU coming into this tournament having only lost 1 game on the season. Very stunned TLU in the first game they played here in the National Championship Tournament.
Yeah, they held the Bulldogs to just 1 run, incredibly.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see the character of these 2 clubs come to life in this winner's bracket.
Hannah Gore, one of the many talented freshman pitchers we are seeing here in Salem this week.
And exciting for many of these programs to have such young talent.
Hannah came in relief, got the save against TLU after Hall got the start and the victory, her 10th on the year. Hannah out of Roswell, Georgia. A little under 100 innings of work this year with 109. We'll get the math. It's summer break for most of us. 109 strikeouts on the year. Has a 16-1 record for Gore. That was her 2nd save all season. As the freshman facing Caitlin Abernathy, your All-American leadoff hitter from Prince George right here in Virginia. And it's the freshman able to strike out the All-American. 1 away.
We've seen so far this tournament some good mix from multiple pitchers. Good mix of strikeouts and relying on their defense. Haven't seen a pitcher press quite yet to feel like they have to do the job themselves, which is great. But there's a lot of trust of the 7 players behind them.
Bailey Roberts batting second in this lineup. And when you go 3 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI in the first game, coach is going to keep you in the lineup. That's exactly what she did against WPI in that 8-6 victory against the Engineers. So Abernathy, Roberts, and Hasty, the top third of this order. Curran, Griever, and Helmer. The middle third, Carmichael, Proctor, and Houle will bat 7th, 8th, and 9th. Facing Hannah Gore in the circle. Gore with the infield of Jackson, Daniel, Gamble, and Frye. With Jackson behind the plate as well. This one's sky high, but should be playable in foul territory for Jackson, and hauled in for out number 2.
Well, and softball's a sport full of one-liners. Hit it hard, hit it often, score early, score often. And ultimately, Lincoln, I think this game is going to come down to who can make the least amount of mistakes. We saw how important that was in our second elimination game earlier today. And who's going to be true to what they do as a club, knowing that CNU comes in really the home run leader of the majority of these teams. They rely on the long ball the most of the teams that are still left in this tournament. We saw Berry hit a number of home runs in their game, or their first game of the tournament against TLU. So we know they've got the power. Whether they use it or not remains to be seen.
Caitlin Hasty is the second All-American bat to come up and face the freshman Gore in the circle. And that one snagged by Jackson. Hasty was 1 for 2 with a couple of runs batted in in that victory over WPI in the opener. Also had a walk along the way. Hasty out of Chesapeake, Virginia. Batting better than .426 now on the year after going .500 in the opener. Strikeout and a foul out so far as Hanagor and the defense have retired the first two. Good look there at head coach Keith Parr, your Coast to Coast Athletic Conference head coach of the year and a 1999 graduate of CNU. Be a 2-out walk. That sends Hasty down to first. First base runner on for the Captains.
Hasty probably going to be one of those hitters that's not going to get a whole lot to work with. Comes into this ball game, 63 RBIs on the year. Really that home run power for CNU.
That'll bring up the left-handed bat of Katie Curran out of Blacksburg. The backyard of, again, those Hokies of Virginia Tech, the sophomore, hitting .416 coming into this week. After a strikeout and foul out, the walk to Hasty prolongs this first inning. Captain still with a chance to strike first. A lot of blue in the crowd for this one. Berry and CNU. Might be a few folks who came on to cheer on Milliken sticking around as well. Milliken, the second team eliminated after their extra inning loss back on Thursday. Suffered their second defeat today against Eastern. So Eastern and TLU still alive. As this ball just out of play. Think the Seagulls should have had that? Coach Knight like to see them afterwards. And Keith Parr, 19th year as head coach plus 4 years as assistant, 631 wins at the helm of CNU, and this one might be playable. It is. A couple of foul outs. Jackson tracks that one down. CNU will strand a runner, and it's time for Berry to collect their bats. A chance to strike first. They are your home team in this winner's bracket contest against the Captains.
Caitlin Hasty is at first base for the Captains. Bailey Roberts is catching for the starting pitcher for CNU.
Oh, we don't mind seeing the umbrellas today. It's simply for shade, no threat of rain. Reason why we pushed so much of yesterday's action to today. 6 games scheduled, already 2 in the books. Already seeing some folks from our next game, including some players for Trine Thunder. As Ani Dankelson kept bumping into the Thunder group, celebrating their win, enjoying their day off after they survived yesterday's extra inning finish against Eastern. Right now, we focus on the Captains of CNU. 44 games have been played by the Captains this year. They almost had a 45th game. It was going to be against Berry, along with other teams in that tournament. Did not happen. They're making up for lost time here.
Well, and CNU has had, again, that impressive season, over 40 wins, now over 45, only 1 loss on the season. Actually, who we're seeing in the circle is the only pitcher with a loss on the season, only loss in her career. Hoping to keep just that 1 in the L column throughout this national championship tournament.
Yeah, CNU riding with a couple of freshman arms. Couple of players able to transition immediately from high school to some of the top teams in Division III. Katie White leads things off. She'll be followed by Riley Jackson and Anna Jackson in this lineup for Berry. And Berry put up 5 on TLU. Now, they did not face the All-American Strother, who we saw make her Salem debut on the year this year. Of course, we saw her last year, but we quickly were reminded why she's an All-American. 13 strikeouts with the season on line for the Bulldog pitcher.
Some exciting numbers for some of the pitchers we've seen thus far. Michon, Strother, both passing that 200 strikeout mark.
Griever with the snag over to Hasty. Will deny White the chance to run the bases. Nice play by Griever at the hot corner.
Playing third base, number 16, Riley Jackson.
Now Martin not necessarily going to be a strikeout, really going to allow her defense to work behind her. And Martin came in relief in that first game against WPI, but she's really better in the starting role, struggles a little bit more when she's in relief. Has done a lot of starting for the captains this year, because her freshman counterpart, Kate Alger, was out for about a month with an injury. Martin able to shoulder most of the innings.
This one out towards Proctor in center, and a collision and a scary moment. Proctor hangs on to the ball, but she and Curran both tracking that ball down. And look, we have seen far worse outcomes from similar situations. That's a big sigh of relief that both are still on their feet.
Yeah, a couple things happening there. In that moment, as a right fielder, you really want to be defaulting to your center fielder, especially if they're going to be calling you off. And on a right-handed hitter, that ball is going to be tailing away towards right field, so it really could be anyone's ball. It's just going to be a matter of who gets there first.
We've seen several busted lips over the years.
Yeah, unfortunately, you really just got to be listening to your captain out there in the outfield.
Well, that gets confusing because they're all captains.
That's true.
Riley Jackson at the plate after the ground out. Riley Jackson the fly out. Here's Anna Jackson, your National Catcher of the Year, as named by the NFCA this week for Division III. Boy, this is a busy week, of course, for NFCA. Announcing all the accolades, D2, D3, got junior college as well. That ball's going to stay foul before Griever squeezes it in. Lincoln Rose, along with former Houston Cougar Sydney Gearbrecht, along with our NCAA.com crew. We keep seeing things we haven't seen before somehow. Earlier today. Just when you think you've seen it all, when you've got 6 games scheduled in a day, you're going to see some things. We saw a pitcher receive a caution who has a ball had some substance on it. And a slow roller to Carmichael, and she struggles. And that ball did not want any part of being part of an out. Anna Jackson's on. That's an error on the shortstop to prolong the first inning.
And a ball swung top half. Again, a lot of English on it. We've seen that happen a couple times over at shortstop and second base. That's really where we've seen the majority of our errors in this tournament. We've also seen our middle infielders on many teams kind of sit back on that ball.
And it still hasn't helped them. Here's Morgan Frye, first team all-conference, pride of Suwanee, Georgia. Getting to play college ball in her home state for the Berry Vikings out of Mount Berry, Georgia. Morgan, the sophomore, with 12 home runs this year. That is the school record. And of course, she squares around a bunt. Again, this is a program that was not in existence before 2010. Already their 5th NCAA tournament. Made it to their 2nd Super Regional, found their first Super Regional win, punching their ticket to their first final this week. Run on first, Jackson, Anna Jackson, Morgan Frye with a 2-1 count to her name. Facing Jamie Martin, one of our 2 freshman pitchers in this winner's bracket contest. Both teams 1-0. And just got a piece of it, 2-2. In both these teams we mentioned we're going to meet at a tournament hosted by CNU. That did not come to fruition. But we have several teams that did make it to Salem who did cross paths in a preseason tournament. I should say non-conference tournament earlier this year. Getting a taste of some tough competition. Frye pokes this one out to right. Curran underneath it. And she's able to bring it in. So ultimately, Berry, no damage done after their first error defensively. For CNU, Berry will strand a runner. Captain's back at the plate for the 2nd inning. I mean, why would you not want to spend a day here? Beautiful backdrop. By the way, there's a little bit of softball being sprinkled in as well. Third game on this diamond. It looks fantastic. Perhaps some future softball standouts in the crowd. Looking good with their free NCAA shades that were being handed out today.
And shout out to everyone here, field crew, NCAA crew.
Yeah.
Every human that worked so hard to make this happen, our production crew. We're having fun out here.
Discriminating against the dogs again, I see. As Brooke Griever leads things off here for the captains of CNU. And Christopher Newport University right here, about 4 hours away in Virginia. Last year's national champions residing in Virginia. Virginia Wesleyan fell in the Super Regional against these captains. So they had to beat the best to be here among the best remaining. Berry knocked off Bethel in their Super Regional. CNU also not only knocking off Virginia Wesleyan, but they're one of two teams from their own conference to make it here. They're the top 2 seeds. CNU number 1 seeds, Salisbury number 2 from the Coast to Coast Conference. It's a conference with 5 teams, 40% of which are still playing softball.
Well, with that level of competition, you're getting some of these championship looks early in the season. And I know a lot of these teams actually got a chance to be at the NFCA Leadoff Classic. Makes a big difference for these Division III teams, about the top 25 teams in the country, give or take. Seeing where they stand at the beginning of the season, find out what work they need to do in order to be able to compete right now.
Yeah, that used to be unheard of with the budgets. Just couldn't get out of your own region to go play against some of the best. And Brooke Griever, the sophomore out of Abingdon, Maryland, willing to cross state lines for her college career. This will be playable, just foul, as Jackson has it. Boy, Hannah Gore's been good at getting the foul outs. That's the third one.
Yeah, again, Gore doing a great job utilizing her defense, getting these mishits, a couple miscues from the captain offense so far. A tough team to keep off balance.
Gives way to the number 6 hitter, Caroline Helmer, your DP for CNU. Helmer out of Chesapeake here in Virginia. 319 hitter coming into this week. As Helmer was 1 for 3 with an RBI in the victory over WPI. WPI as well as Milliken, the first to pick up 2 losses this week. That was a WPI team with exactly 13 healthy players. And yet here they were playing for a national championship this week. Down the left field line, fell.
Yeah, talk about the odds that WPI team had to overcome all season long, making sure everyone was healthy. We thought we lost Sydney Russell in that first game. Had a tough play out in the outfield, collision with the fence. Hopefully we'll limit the collisions that we see for the rest of this tournament. I know we had an earlier one out in the outfield, the captains.
1-2 count here to Helmer, nobody on. Big cut ahead of that one.
Sometimes in the moment can be challenging, especially when there's a ball in the air. You're just really going off of reaction time, and really important for these players to take that extra time to figure out how this field's going to play, when to climb it, how many steps it's going to be from where they're playing to the wall.
And got her for the strikeout. Second strikeout for Gore in the circle today.
Batting 7th, the shortstop.
So foul out and a strikeout. She's ready. She's just wondering how she gets a batter into the box quicker. Natalie Carmichael is that next hitter. Number 7 hitter in this lineup for Coach Keith Parr. Carmichael out of Warrenton, Virginia. 5th-year senior. Hitting .411. That's not too bad for a 7-hitter.
A lot of impressive numbers from the captains, especially with, again, this record of only having one loss, probably about 44 wins on the season as of right now.
And captains, one loss all year. They suffered 2 losses in the Seguin Regional last year at TLU. That ended their season in the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament after they had finished runners-up to Salisbury. By the way, they are 4-0 this year against Salisbury, though all those games were at CNU, including a couple of wins in the conference tournament. Back-to-back strikeouts from Hannah Gore, her 3rd of the game. Most importantly, she has kept the captains from crossing home plate. Scoreless, Berry, your home team, back at the plate, bottom. I was trying to remember who lost that last game. I was like,
In the number 5 position in the Berry batting order as we get to the bottom of the 2nd inning.
Some Viking fans who know how to do it. Get that popcorn, get the sunglasses, and expect to be here for a while. They hope they only get to see their Vikings once today, however. The team that does not win this game, captains or Vikings, will be back later tonight, all of a sudden facing elimination, despite entering the day with no losses. Winner does get the rest of the day off, can sit back and tune in to, I'm told, plenty of softball on NCAA.com. If they want to browse D2 over in Denver, so be it. We'll be right here in Salem all week long. Shelby Daniel, your shortstop for Berry. Right now ahead in the count 1-0, facing Jamie Martin. Daniel's 2nd team all-conference out at Temple, Georgia. Sophomore also hitting better than 400 on the year.
Both of these teams being led by freshmen in the circle, but I'd probably say Berry is one of the younger teams that we've seen, comparably to CNU. CNU having 2 fifth-year senior/graduate students, and then 5 seniors. But the majority of the Berry squad is made up of freshmen and sophomores, a couple juniors and seniors sprinkled in there. So some young talent getting some postseason experience. We talked about how important that's going to be for some of these other programs to have these young players getting this experience to continue to build off of in the seasons to come.
Count 2-2. That's about as calm as you're going to see the Berry dugout. That is a spirited group over there. Now to the Southern Athletic Association from Mount Berry, Georgia. Went 15-3 to win the conference this year, won the conference tournament by knocking off a team we saw last year, Birmingham Southern. Beat them twice in order to move on with the automatic bid. They would go to the DePauw Regional. DePauw was here last year as well. This was not an easy path for Berry to its first ever NCAA championship. They run-ruled DePauw at DePauw in Indiana. And again, it was Bethel in the Super Regional. Jamie Martin firing strikes, sitting people down. As Shelby Daniel talks to her teammate Blair Hall about what she just witnessed.
And a ball well out of the zone, but a great placement there by Jamie Martin. But a ball and a half off the plate. Bit too close to take, and I'll take a swinging strikeout over a looking strikeout any day. Seen my personal opinion, far too many strikeouts looking this weekend.
In Hannah Gore, your pitcher today for Berry, this would be your other candidate, Blair Hall, who keeps her bat in the lineup as a DP, 2nd team all-conference, the sophomore this year. Mentioned she'd been on a 4-year hiatus from the sport before joining Berry this season. All she's done this postseason is perfect game and a game-winning home run in a Super Regional. Pretty good return. Comes up with 1 out, nobody on. Count 2-1.
Hall and Gore have done a great job splitting innings for this Berry squad. And again, I've said it in past broadcasts, but I love how often we're seeing these pitchers who are not in the circle still finding a way to be playing every day, contributing offensively.
Blair did get the win in their game against TLU. And again, phenomenal. She went the 4 innings, allowed just 2 hits, only 1 earned run, struck out 5, walked 1 against that otherwise very capable offense of the Bulldogs, as we saw earlier today. Hannah Gore came in for the 2-inning save. The 2-2, but it's Jamie Martin right now, deserving all the attention for her talent in the circle. Back-to-back strikeouts, 2 away.
And in that first game, we got wind of Jamie Martin having won Pitcher of the Year, or Freshman Pitcher of the Year.
Yeah, National Freshman of the Year in
Yep.
Division III from the NFCA. The All-American, regardless of class, All-American.
Yep.
She picked up a save, 19-1 record on the year. This one off the backstop. Foul ball. Abby Gamble at the plate out of the 7-hole. If she can extend this inning, it's Sydney Maroney in the 8th spot. Aaliyah Thornton bats 9th. Your infield for CNU, Brooke Reaver at 3rd, Natalie Carmichael at short, Maddie Houle at 2nd, and Caitlin Hasty at 1st. Roberts behind the plate. Abernathy Proctor and Curran in the outfield from left to right. Well, they are taking hacks, but Jamie Martin is blowing it by them.
Jamie Martin has incredible spin on whatever she's throwing. So if it's not blowing by the Berry offense thus far, it's certainly dodging and diving out of their reach.
Another pitch just fought foul by Gamble. Gamble in her senior year, a leader on this team. Just trying to spark something here early on. Jamie Martin strikes out the side. 1, 2, 3. The 5, 6, and 7 hitters go down in order, as each pitcher holding serve scoreless after 2 innings.
Leading off the 3rd inning for Christopher Newport.
Well, as expensive as gas is, a reasonable commute for the CNU fans here to Salem, Virginia. About 4 hours from campus. And for those of you who couldn't make the trip, glad to have you tuning in to NCAA.com. Captains and Vikings. Both mascots keen on navigating. Each team trying to navigate their way through these final 4 days here in Salem to a national championship. Could be a first for either program. Well read by, again, your second baseman and Gamble for Berry to get the out. As Proctor retired.
It's a well-hit ball.
Second base, number 11, Maddie Houle.
Again, CNU still not able to poke it through. Seeing them take big hacks. Actually seeing both sides take big hacks. But some solid defense being played on both sides.
Keith Barr's only seen 1 base runner so far, a walk in the first, but no runners even gotten into scoring position so far for CNU. Maddie Houle comes up here, bats 9th. 1 out, nobody on. She can appreciate that last play. She's your second baseman for CNU. 5th-year senior in her own right. And as always, if you're batting .420 on the year, you're just going to have to bat 9th. I mean, what a great turnout we've seen. Now, yesterday it was aided by 200 school kids,
It's true.
Taking advantage of a Friday.
Thursday.
Whatever it was. I guess that wasn't yesterday. It was a Thursday. Yeah, that was 2 days ago. I'll have to go back and watch the recap. Left side. Jackson wanted it. Jackson's got it. Over to Frye in time. 2 away. What a play on this Saturday afternoon.
Not a routine ground ball. Jackson having to come across the field. Frye doing a great job stretching.
That's why you'd rather have your third baseman handle that than your shortstop. At least her momentum is carrying her towards the bag.
Absolutely.
Top of the order.
I've seen a couple teams actually get caught with the ball moving across like that. Almost looks like they got caught trying to get rid of the ball before they actually had it in their glove. I believe we saw that happen with Milliken twice earlier today.
Yeah, those first 2 games, we don't like it any more than anybody else. Elimination games. Got to say goodbye to some folks who still left a mark on this tournament. Usually it's all good times after that because we have winners bracket games, but the way today is set up with 6 games to atone for yesterday, it means just because you pick up your first loss today doesn't mean you might not also pick up your second. Again, if you win this ball game right here, you're done for the day. You move on to tomorrow, and you're overwhelmingly one of the 2 favorites to win it all. Think about that. You start 2-0, and you have an inside track to the national championship. You, in theory, would only need to possibly play 3 more games this week.
At most.
You would want to eliminate somebody tomorrow, and then you'd be in your best of 3 game series for 2 more wins.
I guess 4. You're right.
I wasn't going to phrase it that way.
Okay.
I was going to lead you there.
Well, there's 2 of us here in the booth, not just 1. Got to check each other from time to time.
Right now, Abernathy, who struck out back in the first, 0 for 1 today, facing Hannah Gore.
And Abernathy's one of those 7 senior/graduate students on this captain's team, really supported by this veteran leadership. And if there was going to be a time to win a national championship with a super talented group, this would be the group to do it.
Again, Abernathy, All-American, here atop the lineup for the captains. Lays off that one.
And Gore has a little bit more control over that rise ball than we saw in previous innings. Didn't see her throw it for a swing and miss pitch for the first couple batters she faced.
The 2-2 with 2 outs. And this ball will land into the glove of Thornton. Had a good read on it the entire way. And you never want to doubt her ability to close that gap quickly. So it's a 3-up, 3-down inning. Gore has retired the last 7 captains she's faced. Some fans waiting for their Trine Thunder to take the field. That's not until the 4th game of the day. They hope it's only the 4th game of the day. Right now, our 3rd game of the day features the Vikings of Berry out of Georgia, the captains of CNU from right here in Virginia. As still the first time through the lineup for Berry, here's Sydney Maroney. She saw her 3 teammates all strike out last inning against Jamie Martin. And both teams throwing freshmen today, but CNU has a pretty darn good freshman, again, All-American in the circle. NFCA National Freshman of the Year in Division III. Only base runner today for Berry, reaching on an error back in the 1st. As our first look at Emily Stanley, 8th year with the program, 3rd year as head coach. Former student athlete over at Purchase College in New York back in her day. And we've mentioned, very young team. That was the obstacle coming into this year for Berry. That has not proven to be a problem, with just one senior and a couple of juniors. To quote her, less of a concern now.
Yes, significantly. Well, and midway through the season is really when we saw Berry's lineup solidify, and it hasn't changed since.
It's a foul ball off the foot in the box of Sydney Maroney. $11 players for Berry this year receiving conference honors. And Jamie Martin has struck out 4 straight Vikings. And she has still just faced one more than the minimum.
Number 12, Thornton.
Martin using that curveball, slight tilt. That last bit of a jump right before the plate.
4 straight strikeouts is only the second best run we've seen today. Trying to put the bunt down. Thornton, your 9-hitter. In her first plate appearance, we saw Strother at TLU. Strikeout 6 in a row. Ultimately 7 of 8. 13 strikeouts total in that ball game. And was there an illegal pitch? At the moment, they still have it as a strike. Home plate umpire went over to talk to a dugout, but has it all straightened out. Southpaw Martin inside. Here in Salem, it's not just softball. We've got the Division III Women's Lacrosse Championship weekend underway, semifinals featuring Tufts and TC&J right now. They're level at 1 apiece. That's also available on NCAA.com. Our friend Dave McHugh, your newest friend.
Yes, my newest friend.
On the call over there. We didn't break bread, we broke calzones. It's pretty close. And this is a pop-up into the glove and a cheap out. Brooke Reaver squeezes it in. That's going to end the run of strikeouts, but they'll be content with the foul out. Still just 1 base runner today for Berry. And it's back to the top of the order.
Well, Leah Thornton, a tough out, operates often as a second leadoff in that 9 spot. Leah Thornton often beats teams with her speed. Probably the best bunter for Berry, for that Berry offense, and often gets on base before teams can tag her out. Fortunately, not able to do anything with that at bat.
We're back to the first team all-region leadoff hitter, Katie White, who grounded out to the left side back in the first inning. White out of Atlanta, hitting just under 400 coming into this week, 396. Was 1 for 4 with a run scored in the opening win against TLU when Berry knocked off last year's runners-up 5-1. TLU survived earlier today, as did Eastern out of Connecticut. Both those teams will be back tonight, having to do it once more. Two balls, 1 strike. Martin in her 3rd inning of work, facing her 10th batter. As White will send this foul out of play. What a good look. To give you a little tour around the venue. We're on field 1, 1 of 4. Allows the other teams to warm up on the adjacent fields that are identical to this one. Nobody on with 2 outs. Here comes the 2-2 to White. Sits back on it and just gets underneath it. Racing in, cannot make the catch, Abernathy, and it's going to be a double for White, who is running the entire way. Oh, that ball just hung up there. We are mindful the sun is out with no clouds to speak of directly above us. And Abernathy had a long way to run. And you wonder if at some point Proctor wasn't the better candidate for that ball.
I would definitely argue that Proctor was the better candidate for that ball. And Abernathy may have called the ball the moment it was hit. I've seen that happen a number of times where your left fielder just gets a better jump, but Abernathy also needs to be the captain of, or excuse me, Proctor needs to be the captain of that outfield and take that ball. Also because the wind is slightly blowing towards Proctor.
Yep.
We got to make sure that if you're in the best spot, that your teammate doesn't overrun that ball. There's also that option too.
What a way for Berry to get its first hit, and of course it's a double for Katie White. No other way to score that. Here's Riley Jackson. Off the glove of Carmichael. This will cost him a run. Katie White comes home. It's an RBI for Riley Jackson, unless it's an error. Who cares? It's 1-0.
One of the distinctions I made in our last broadcast was how important it is for teams to know when to take a timeout. This is one of those moments, if I'm on the field as the captains, maybe even the shortstop or the catcher for the captains right now, I might give my team just a second before the wheels fall off the cart, make sure that we cut the momentum a little bit, remind ourselves to play our best brand of softball.
All of this with 2 outs. Both were reasonably feasible third outs, but a double, and that is an RBI single to score White. And here's Anna Jackson. Before this inning, had been the only base runner reaching on an error. As CNU will talk things over. I believe this is Wayne Vick talking to the captains.
Sometimes all that's needed from a coach is, let's relax. Let's play the way we know how. I believe in you. Any and all of the above.
You just saw a coach who knows this next hitter is keen to pulling the ball.
Mm-hmm.
As, again, Anna Jackson reached on a shortstop's error back in the first. She was the only base runner until this inning. Back-to-back base hits for Berry with 2 outs. You had a strikeout, a foul out. The third out's been hard to come by. The 2-0 to Anna Jackson. And despite some miscues, a chance to get out of the inning here with another towering fly, but Curran has it. So Berry finds 2 hits and 1 run. They have a lead after 3 in this winner's bracket contest. We move on to the 4th. Well, Berry scores a run in the 3rd, and that means that Hannah Gore has a lead to defend, along with this defense behind her. Hannah, 2 strikeouts, has secured, 3 strikeouts, has also been able to get 3 foul outs, a couple of ground outs, and a fly out along the way. As CNU now looking for their first hit of the ball game. They've had 1 base runner. Caitlin Hasty had a walk. She's due up second this inning. Here's Bailey Roberts out of the 2-hole.
And Berry giving us a great example as to why you want to make sure you're taking all of your cuts, taking good cuts at good pitches, some defensive miscues from the captains in that last inning. And Berry able to capitalize on some of those mistakes and score, push one across.
Nobody ever teaches you how to shoot a ball all the way up to the sun and dare the defense to try to be able to track it all the way back down. Well, this game's every bit as tense as our elimination games earlier today. You do have a loss to fall back on, but you're a lot better off if you can start 2-0. Big cut from Roberts. Wanted to tie it up right there as Gore blows it by.
Roberts is one of those players on the captain's offense that has double-digit home runs, 13 coming into this game. So I love that she's coming into her at-bat, taking her hacks, even though she's swinging at something that's at the letters.
Four strikeouts. We talked about this with you already this tournament. Nobody's immune to that.
No,
that
you're
ball's
really
right
not.
there at eye level, and our natural instinct is, hey, I see it really well. Surely I can clobber this thing.
Surely I'm seeing it well. Well, and that's, Hannah Gore's specialty. She's starting it kind of mid-waist, and it's ending up at the chest, probably up above the shoulders. It's not a ball that you want to hit unless you're starting and you already have a downward bat angle, and that's not the angle that Bailey Roberts took.
All right, here's the only woman to reach base so far today against Hannah Gore. It was a walk with 2 outs in the first inning. Caitlin Hasty, another one of these All-Americans.
Well, and Hasty's one of those players that she's doubled all of the numbers that her teammates have put up in RBIs, right?
Yep.
So she's 63 RBIs coming into this game, 18 home runs on the season. So another one of the power hitters that CNU is really going to rely on. Hasn't really had anyone on base in order for her to produce hitting in. But a smart player does what she needs to do, either to hit for power or to get on base. See if she can do something here with 2 outs on the board.
Yeah, 18 of those 63 RBI are just
Herself.
bringing herself home.
It helps.
She'll walk here. Hannah Gore had a scouting report. She has walked Hasty twice. Nobody else has run the bases for the captain so far in 3+ innings, except Caitlin Hasty.
And I would argue, too, with the numbers that Hasty has put up this year, she's had to be really, really disciplined with the pitches that she's choosing to swing at. And she's probably not getting anything good very often. So that discipline is going to come in handy. And as a result, if they're going to pitch around you, take your base. No need to outswing if you're not getting the pitches that are worth swinging at.
Keith Parr will bring a pinch runner in, and Hasty's going to take this time to talk to the next batter, Katie Curran, about what she saw. So there's Kensley Hess. Second time we've seen Hess through 2 games now.
Attention, please. Pitch running now at first for CNU. Number 1, Kenley Hess. Hess now pitch running for the Captains.
Hess did not get to come home and score the last time she pinch ran in that victory against WPI. Here's Katie Curran, fouled out to end the first inning. 0 for 1 today. Would the NCAA ever consider, maybe next year, allowing Kelly Jordan to be a pinch runner for every team in the field? Everybody gets to use Kelly Jordan once as a pinch runner. The career stolen base leader, we've already seen her take 4. She has set a new single-season record for Division III with 73 stolen bases this year. Already had the career record. And again, if she was on first, you blink, she was on third, and then she was at home. And that's a big reason why the Bulldogs are still playing softball later today. The 1-1. Shot out towards left. White has it. And no place for Hess to go, 2 away.
And I think Kelly Jordan is a really good example of be good at what you're good at. She's really great at stealing bases. You don't need to make it any more complicated than that. Wherever you can contribute to the fullest as often as you can. Again, giving your team the best opportunity to win. Softball is a game of failure, so success is never guaranteed no matter how hard you work. But if you give yourself the best opportunity to succeed, again, contributing where you can, you give yourself a good shot.
Here's Brooke Griever. She also fouled out when she led off the second inning, trying to extend this 4th inning here. We talk about Jordan, but her teammates need to know how to play off of her, and boy, do they. Jordan will basically appear as though she's giving herself up in a pickle, daring a team to execute defensively, and more often than not, they can't. Griever tried to check her swing, but that ball found her bat. So in a hole, 0-2.
And we talk so often how important it is to have that catalytic player on your team, the player that can get your team going, generate momentum on either side of the ball. And that can sometimes be a starter. Often it is, but it can also be somebody off the bench, somebody that the team really wants to see succeed, hard worker. good teammate. Kelly Jordan just happens to be that for the Bulldogs. One of many.
Count remains 0-2 as that one fought foul by Griever.
I would argue that the captains have probably a full lineup of catalytic players based on their numbers they've put up this season and their record. And the seniors also, special camaraderie there with all those veterans.
Well, Hess was running with 2 outs on an 0-2 count. She'll have to retreat. After that one fought foul again by Griever. Yeah, you mentioned it. CNU, 43 wins, 1 loss. That 1 loss, a second game against Averett. A game they almost came back in. They've made up for it. They've won 20 since then. Here is Hess looking to swipe second. And base runners are perfect still here in Salem, swiping the bags. So Hess is in scoring position, and she's possibly a base hit away from tying this ball game up.
Well, I love the effort that's made by all of these shortstops, seeing if they can keep that ball in front of them as much as possible.
Now Hannah Gore can still just focus on Griever. Just needs 1 out right now, just needs 1 strike. Already struck out 4. Runner on second with 2 away. And this is a shot out towards right. It's going to be a tied ball game. Brooke Griever will bring Hess home with an RBI double. It's a brand new affair here in Salem. We are level at 1. A half inning after Berry scores its first. CNU answers with its first base hit of the ball game, the RBI from Griever.
And about the second time through the lineup, Griever able to take a ball not quite far enough to be out, and probably didn't mean for that ball to hit at the very bottom of the fence and bounce off, but just enough to hit behind her runner.
It's a big stolen base from Hess that allowed her to score.
Yep. Good piece of hitting there from Griever. Well executed.
Caroline Helder.
Both teams finding a way to produce with 2 outs. Here's Caroline Helmer. Struck out against Gore back in the second, 0 for 1 today. And she's going to have herself a base hit in the infield. And Frye, how about that leadership at first base? When she tells her pitcher, do not make a throw over here. It's not going to do you any good, and you've got a base runner on third to worry about. So Griever, after her RBI single, standing on third. You can, again, with 2 outs, take some liberties. And Helmer has herself an infield single. Back-to-back hits now.
We saw a couple first and third situations in that previous game, which turned to be very effective ultimately for Eastern.
They are going to run for Helmer, as they'll bring on Caroline Pollock, the sophomore. They're hoping an extra base hit could score her from first. They've already seen 1 pinch runner score this inning. Hannah Gore had not given up a hit entering the 4th inning. Now last 2 hitters have secured base knocks.
This is really when Hannah Gore is going to need to adjust her plan. Really lean into maybe some of the pitches that are being called. Give it a little bit extra spin. Get a little bit more precise with her placement now that the captains are doing a much better job on their timing, having seen her at least once through the lineup.
Pollock just on a delay took second base. Gore stared right at her and said, yeah, I'm not going to bite on that. You can have it. I still just want that 3rd out at home before a go-ahead run scores. Oh, 0-1 to Carmichael now in a hole 0-2. This inning began with a strikeout of Roberts, the walk to Hasty. Hasty was the only base runner CNU had today. It was her second walk of the game. They ran for her with Hess. A flyout made it look like Gore was inching closer to maintaining the one-run advantage. Now double and single back-to-back. And a diving stab to end the inning as Gamble lays out to keep it level at 1. Oh, what a catch by the second baseman for the Vikings. Abby Gamble keeps it a 1-1 ball game.
Two runners left on base in the top of the fourth inning.
Carmichael with a line shot that's caught by Abby Gamble, and she takes a dive here. Any other way that ball is played, any other decision she makes, that is a base hit. And she is able to shift the momentum for her team going into the bottom of the fourth here. Kudos to Abby Gamble.
Berry had a 1-run lead. Captains answered with a run, but it could be the captains all of a sudden up by a couple if that ball gets through.
First base, number 27, Caitlin Hasty. Hasty back at first for the captains, as now batting for
So
the Vikings.
Jamie Martin going strong for CNU. Morgan Frye 0 for 1 today with a fly out to right. She'll send another one that way, but out of play. We began today with 8 teams. We are already down to 6. WPI and Milliken have been eliminated thanks to TLU, along with, who played that other game? Somebody in blue, I remember. And this is a shot out towards the gap to the wall. It's gone. A solo blast by Morgan Frye. And it's a new single season mark, topping her previous. That's a baker's dozen. As Morgan Frye will touch them all.
I was going to say, this Berry offense doesn't necessarily need to rely on the long ball, but if there was a player that was going to send it, it was going to be Morgan Frye, leading this team with 12 before that shot out of the park. Sometimes that's all you need. One pitch changed the game. Now Berry up 2-1.
Milliken lost to Eastern, by the way. I may or may not have been joking there. Morgan Frye, again, 12 home runs had already been the season's single season mark. Now up to 13. Here's Shelby Daniel. Daniel 0 for 1 today with a strikeout against Martin. Yeah, how about that shift in momentum?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my understanding was Gamble makes that diving catch. She gets to bat first the next half inning, but it looked like she allowed Morgan Frye to take her spot.
Well, and that's what's so fun, is that the momentum can shift pitch to pitch for either team. Morgan Frye, obviously one of the mainstays, one of the backbones of this Berry offense, feeding off of the momentum provided by her second baseman. And continuing that momentum for Berry.
This will be foul opposite field from Shelby Daniel.
And that's the second pitch that we've seen Daniel sort of slice off. So she's got great timing, but she's still continuing to inside out the ball. She can stay through it a little bit more, stay in her legs, and also stay through it a little bit more consistently with her backhand. She'll find more success if she gets another look at that pitch.
0-2 from Martin. Can't get any help there from Daniel. Second baseman Hool underneath it. Steps in front of the right fielder Curran. 1-1.
Martin doing a good job not needing to pitch outside of herself. Daniel gets herself out there. Still inside outing that ball a little bit. Needs to make an adjustment before she comes up to bat next.
Back to Blair Hall, over 1 today against Jamie Martin. Hall today, the DP. As the starting nod went to Hannah Gore in this 1-0 winners bracket matchup. And just to avoid any confusion, 8 teams. It may appear to be 2 different brackets, but it's all one bracket. And the 2 teams that emerge from it will play a best-of-3 game series. So if you happen to come out of the elimination bracket, you're not at a disadvantage if you're among the final 2 teams. We'll wipe your slate clean, regardless of how the other team has fared. Play best-of-3 over the final 2 days. Big cut from Hall, trying to double the advantage.
And that home run from Frye, an isolated event, not an end-all be-all. Necessarily got a lot of ball game left, but it's good to see the freshman and Jamie Martin having some maturity and discipline to continue to pitch her game. Doing a good job continuing to work this Berry offense.
A lot of ball game left, a lot of ball games left. Not even halfway through our obligation today.
We love a spirited fan.
Presumably a Berry fan with some unlicensed merchandise. Hall sat back on it, but shoots it over to Carmichael, 2 away. So Morgan Frye leads off this inning with her 13th home run of the year. A pop out and a ground out to follow, 2 away. Here's Abby Gamble. There's probably a little dirt on the front of that uniform. And already a fond memory defensively. Otherwise, that's a game-tying home run as opposed to a go-ahead home run from Frye to begin this 4th inning. Puts the bunt down on her first try, and that ball comes out of the glove. And that's, again, why even with 2 outs, you try to force the defense to execute, putting down that bunt.
Well, it's not a bad play by Martin. Just looks like she catches Hasty a bit off guard. Fires it down there. And Gamble doing a good job of capitalizing on some of the defensive momentum she created, finding a way on base.
It's a single for Gamble. Here's Sydney Maroney. Maroney, a sophomore, batting a little over 300 on the year. Was 0 for 2 in the opener in that victory against TLU. I'll lay off that one. 5th batter of this inning, Sydney Maroney. It all began with Morgan Frye's solo shot, a no-doubter. That has given Berry another advantage. Pop out and ground out, and then the 2-out single from Gamble. That's going to die down. That's going to be another infield single. 3rd hit this inning for the Vikings. Only one of which has left the infield, and it left the ballpark.
This can be one of those moments that can be really frustrating for a pitcher, right? So you're pitching really well. You've just had your opponent get the go-ahead, and they're playing a bit of small ball. Doesn't feel legitimate as a pitcher, especially with the performance Martin has given us thus far today.
You mentioned Morgan Frye has that huge blast, but everybody else kind of stays within themselves. Here's Aaliyah Thornton, fouled out last inning. Last time she was at the plate, we were in a scoreless ball game. A lot has happened since then. The batter right behind her would go on to double and later score to give Berry its first lead. CNU had the answer the next half inning, and business again is picked up with the home run from Frye this inning. 2 on, 2 out. Runner on second, Abby Gamble. Runner on first, Sydney Maroney. Leah Thornton with a 1-2 count coming. And it's the top of the order for Berry if this inning continues. Able to recover, throw across, not in time. Everybody is safe. Oh, Brooke Reaver was able to still salvage it with a throw. But Hasty could not secure it cleanly. And you've got bases loaded with 2 outs.
Ooh, that Aaliyah Thornton and her speed. All she's got to do is touch it. And she is down the line.
There's nothing Hasty could have done about that at first. The moment you don't play that ball perfectly, Thornton's on.
Coach Stanley excited. Read her lips go, that's a great job. And good to generate some of this momentum with 2 outs.
And I was hoping we could cut over. You just missed a couple human sprinklers.
Very spirited Berry dugout.
Very spirited. And again, now it's time for the top of the order. And head coach Emily Stanley, her 3rd year, bringing Berry to its first ever championship. Frye with the home run. After that, next 2 batters were retired. Abby Gamble a single, Maroney a single. Thornton able to extend this inning. Our umpires are coming together. And this is just going to be a good old-fashioned of who got to first base first. So again, this is our first year to have review available. It has been our understanding that Aaliyah Thornton is able to beat out the throw. That's the call initially. And they'll have the burden of being told otherwise by the folks in Pittsburgh at TV Sport reviewing this.
And from that angle, it looks like Aaliyah Thornton beats it out by half a second.
Yeah, by that angle, I thought Thornton should have had a double. That's assuming her toe hits the front of the base. And now see her rush back to the bag. So that has to be the question. Did she miss the bag? You don't see anything conclusively from that angle. You might think that it could have happened. But that's not going to tell you absolutely that she missed it. Now, her facial expression afterwards might. But that's not the way it works. And this is when she's told, don't say anything. We don't want any lip reading on official replay. Again, our umpires are not the ones charged with looking at the video. That is done in a controlled environment back in Pittsburgh, just like Division I and Division II.
I always love the first base coach just adding accoutrement that their players are taking off.
Pretty sure that's Tressa Watson over there. All right, we're about to get the decision. Are bases in fact loaded, or is the inning over? We have a safe call? Yes. Yeah, they're absolutely, even if she had missed the bag, there was not an angle that was going to show you daylight.
Yeah, it's not definitive.
And as a result, you stay with what is called. And they believe a little bit of rubber on her shoe was able to touch that bag. You did see how the foot came down right in front of the bag. Base is loaded. Berry's already taken the lead this inning with the home run from Morgan Frye. So we've seen the 4 through 9 hitters in the lineup here in the 4th. Jamie Martin about to face her 7th batter this inning. It's the leadoff hitter, Katie White.
Berry showing Some offensive composure here, continuing to push the envelope even with 2 outs.
Just a reminder, and we'll say it a few more times, CNU has 1 loss all year. Now, they've had a little adversity along the way. But Berry is trying to hand them number 2. If the entire season was a double elimination tournament, CNU would be the only team left playing. And the way this format is set up, they could lose 2 games in 1 day. If they fall here, they'd have to turn right back around and play tonight. And just running out of space, but never slowing down. Caitlin Hasty wanted that out. But the physical barrier would not allow it. Boy, that one was touching her glove, but just glad she's okay.
Yeah, Hasty makes a good effort. Again, this ball is, it's tough. She's having her arm extended almost to see if she can touch the fence before she gets an opportunity to touch the ball. And I don't know, I might allow myself to get a little bit closer to the fence and have that other hand out if you can, but that's a tough play and a good effort by Hasty.
She is a right-handed first baseman. If you're a lefty, you could probably reach out with your left hand more naturally. Brace yourself. Maybe she'll be a lefty next year. 2-2 fought foul. Again, bases loaded for Berry. This could be a huge inning, or this could simply be an inning where Morgan Frye hit that home run and then a whole lot of nothing happened afterwards. And simply a 1-run affair. Home run, pop out, ground out, single, single. And then bases loaded thanks to the speed of Leah Thornton. And it's all up to Katie White to determine what kind of lead they have going into the next half inning.
Well, it will be important for Berry to frame this inning as incredibly successful, especially against a pitcher like Martin. If they've done it this time, they can do it again. They can continue to chip away. Keep the captain's defense off balance. Speed the game up on them a little bit.
White laying off that one. 4 hits this inning for the Vikings. White had the first hit of the ball game for Berry, that double last inning. Should be brought home by the single of Riley Jackson moments later. Jackson on deck, hoping to hit this inning. Caught looking, strike 3. Jamie Martin gets out of the inning with bases loaded, but a little damage done. Morgan Frye tattoos her 13th home run of the year. Put Berry up 2-1. Captain's looking to strike back. There's been a lot more good times than bad for CNU this year. Just a 1-run deficit right now. They've got their bats back in their hands as Berry strands bases loaded. As Jamie Martin got the strikeout when she needed it the most. So a 1-run lead though for Hannah Gore. Second time she's been trusted with a run advantage, as each team has scored a run in each of the past 3 half innings. A back and forth ball game.
Some veteran composure there from Jamie Martin. Bit of a tough break after 2 very small hits. Not even getting past the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, you had a big blast out of the ballpark and then nothing else getting out of the infield. Sarah Proctor out of the 8th spot, 0 for 1 today, grounded out to the right side back in the 3rd inning. Maddie Houle on deck in the top of the order. Proctor out of Mineral, Virginia. And she will take a seat. 1-1.
Second base, number 11, Maddie Houle.
Nice job by Jackson.
It was a beautiful pitch. 1, 2, 3. Good response there from Hannah Gore.
Maddie Houle grounded out to the left side in her only at bat in the third inning. Again, fifth-year senior, batting over 400 on the year. Against the first-year freshman, Hannah Gore, who had more strikeouts than innings thrown this year. Opposing hitters were batting 140, and there wasn't a lot in terms of stress in that conversation.
And again, you talk about how important the responsibility a catcher has for the management of pitchers, management of the game. And a pitcher so often is the thermostat for the entire team. And the catcher is, in some cases, the operator of the thermostat.
Well, it's your National Catch of the Year who's dealing with two freshman pitchers this year who have done quite well.
Yep.
And you give some of that credit, obviously, to the veteran behind the plate. And Anna Jackson named this week NFCA Division III Catcher of the Year, working with the freshman Hannah Gore. Alger being the other freshman option for Berry in the circle. Two-two.
Maddie Houle in the 9 spot, but really operating as a second leadoff for the captains. Again, another one of those seniors, one of the veterans this team looks to get things started.
By the way, if this week's tournament was only based on uniforms, Berry is going straight to the finals.
You like the gradient, huh?
Big fan.
Your stripes, rather.
I mean, you've called Houston home for a while.
I have.
You don't have a fondness for that look? This one shot foul.
Are you saying that because of the Astros?
The Astros. They're back to being a baseball team again.
They are. They sure are.
You thought I was talking about the scrapyard dogs?
No, I did not think you were talking about scrapyard dogs. Took me a second.
I mean, that's
I was
Conroe.
gonna say, my alma mater's red. Like, there's no way.
Cougars haven't sported that look?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
Payoff pitch, font foul. It's our third game. We're digressing a little. It's the first game of the day for these two. And for one of them, it'll be their only game if they win. Keith Parr's done a lot of winning. Again, 631 wins in 2 decades. This one in foul territory is playable, but it'll get down. Keith understands this week is not about the uniforms. Payoff pitch with 1 out, nobody on. Thornton in center. Has it, 2 away.
And you see Thornton does a good job, calls the ball immediately, but also gestures to her right fielder, I've got it. Now that was not nearly the challenging play that we've seen earlier in today's game.
Now this is where your All-American Caitlin Abernathy would be batting. But how about this? He's going to, re-enter. No? When was Abernathy ever not in the game? Well, she's in the game now. I mean, they just gave a re-entry. That means we've overlooked something. Or a couple things. Very capable left fielder. So at some point we missed Nicole up high. There was never a chance to run for her, so she must have been out in left field. The 2-0. Abernathy strikeout and fly out today. Anna Gore looking for her third perfect inning over the past 4 frames, if she can retire the All-American. Three and one. In our first winners bracket game of the week, Berry and CNU. Both able to get the job done in 7 innings in their first game over TLU for Berry, and for CNU against WPI in our very first game of the week. As the walk for Abernathy. No need to re-enter Bailey Roberts. She has fouled out and struck out so far today, over 2. Your catcher for the Captains. For CNU, this is the 3rd championship week under Coach Parr, the first since 2011. 13 regular season titles, 6 tournament titles under his watch, with that 6 automatic bids to the NCAA tournament. 15 straight NCAAs for the Captains. There's often that other team from Virginia that's gotten in the way. What was cool for Virginia Wesleyan was those 2 years that D3 played their championship in OKC. The Marlins were able to claim their first 2 titles. So if you're not going to win one in your home state, those are pretty memorable. Last year, they won right here in Salem. CNU trying to repeat that feat. That's a hit batter. No, they're going to say leaning into it. Bailey Roberts has to stay put. So with 2 outs after the walk from Abernathy, Roberts thought she was going to join her on the base paths. Yeah, the hands. Yep.
Yeah, it definitely leans in. Or it's a foul ball.
Correct. Hands are part of the bat.
I think it either hit off the forearm or the elbow, and the angle just was slightly off, and that was definitely not a hit by pitch.
At the moment, we see an 0-2 count. We'll see if it goes to 1-2. It is a 1-2 count, so it was simply her leaning into it. And pardon me, 1-1. 1 pitch later. Now it's 1-2. I was just ahead of myself. Sorry for the spoiler. Roberts Day, a foul out and a strikeout. You see the runner, Abernathy, who walked with 2 outs here in the 5th. CNU found its only run so far with 2 outs. Trying to repeat that feat here in inning 5. Playable, shortstop Daniel ranges over, but it's the third baseman's ball. Jackson in foul territory. Second foul out today for Bailey Roberts, and it strands Abernathy on the base paths. Captains will head back out to the diamond. Berry back to the dugout. Well, we're seeing starting pitching last a little bit longer here today, both for the teams facing elimination, as well as ththose trying to improve to 2-0. That means for CNU, it's Jamie Martin in the circle. As Christopher Newport University, CNU, about a 4-hour drive from campus. That allowed some of their fans to actually go home rather than stay here on the off day. One run on 2 hits for CNU today, 2 runs on 5 hits for Berry. looking for more. Riley Jackson trying to repeat the Morgan Frye feat from last inning. Jackson had the RBI single in the third that gave Berry its first lead. CNU was able to answer the next half inning. And this one's going to be just outside the confines. Count 1-2 now to Jackson. Home half of the fifth inning. At 2-2.
So it's interesting with a team that's only lost once in their season. You have to wonder which camp they're in. Of course, there are a number of options, but these are the two extremes I'm seeing. So the first is almost holding your breath, like, when is our next loss going to come? Are we going to experience another loss?
Yeah.
And also having the confidence of, we haven't lost yet, and it is other teams' job to beat us. Kind of the difference between playing to win versus playing not to lose.
I think Berry is obviously inclined to find as many runs as possible, and that will help. Riley Jackson shoots one over the outstretched glove of Curran, and she has a leadoff double. Back-to-back innings that Berry begins with an extra base hit.
And not a great angle taken by Curran. Too sharp. Not far enough back. Ultimately needs to take a better angle if she's going to either cut the ball off or even go for the catch. Unfortunately, not able to make that happen.
There's your pinch runner for Berry. It's going to be Grace Hamilton, a freshman. Second time we've seen Grace this week. See if she has a chance to come home and extend this lead. Safe to say Berry's not comfortable, just up by one. Here's Anna Jackson, reached on an error in the first. Fly out to right in the third inning. 0 for 2 today. And they get the runner. That's the first runner caught stealing, as Roberts able to fire one down.
Well, and what a great heads-up play there. Obviously, Roberts seeing if she can take the base on the changeup. So I love the heads-up base running. I love the aggression, and the captains catch a break there after a ball that could have been caught.
So the pinch runner Hamilton is out at third. Griever with the perfect tag after receiving a nice throw from Roberts. Well, we saw a diving catch do a great deal of momentum shifting. What can a play like that do? We'll see going in the next inning if there's no further threat. Carmichael collects it over to Hasty, and the way we've seen that ball played today, we would not have been surprised if that one gets past the shortstop, but Natalie Carmichael saw it through.
And if you saw that ball off the bat, it stopped the spin. So it might have been a weird experience for Carmichael as the ball's coming towards her. It was kind of a weird moment we had here in the booth, if we can see that again.
Here's Morgan Frye, who has not been able to hit a home run since last inning. And, of course, she'll bunt one back to Martin. So it's a ho-hum, 3 up, 3 down inning, right? There goes the fifth. As we move on to the top of the sixth inning, Berry can't grow the lead. It means the next batter up for CNU represents the tying run when you rejoin us in Salem. Back at Moyer Sports Complex, longtime home of softball national championships in Division II and Division III. Second straight year we're here in Salem. for the Division III championship. Next year, D3 will shift to Texas, Marshall, Texas, campus of East Texas Baptist University, as the Berry Vikings back out on the diamond. After a promising start to the inning, first runner all week has been caught stealing, as Caitlin Hasty gets us started here against Hannah Gore. Both starting pitchers still going in this ball game as we go into the sixth.
Not sure what Hasty's looking for, but that one looked pretty good. She had an opportunity, or hasn't had an opportunity to see very many good pitches from Gore.
She has walked twice. It was her pinch runner who scored at the time. And Hasty's day is done. They are going to run for her. And, I mean, you understand the decision. That's the tying run. In a game in which you're fighting to improve to 2-0 and have the inside track to the national championship.
I love that Hasty's stopping. Takes off her helmet, runs down to both of her teammates, both in the box and on deck. Gives them a little piece of advice based on what she's seeing. Yeah, that'll be her time for this game. So good to see Hasty again.
Donnelly will run for her. First pitch, Curran sees over to Daniel, and no place for Donnelly to go, 1 out. Yeah, Hannah Gore is unfazed by essentially the walks that she gives to Hasty. After that, Curran is now 0 for 3 with a foul out, fly out, and pop out as Gore reshifts her focus. It's a calculated decision to put Hasty on.
Well, and Gore has done the best job that we've seen today of giving up a free pass and responding immediately after, either with the play after, the pitch after, or the batter after. Haven't seen her give up any free passes back to back. Maybe that first inning when there was 2 walks. Or I might be mixing up Martin.
There's been a lot of softball today, yep. She has walked Abernathy, the All-American, once.
Okay.
She has walked Hasty 3 times. And for all 4 of those walks, you get it. Here's Brooke Griever. RBI double for Griever back in the 4th. That tied up the game for CNU at the time. Berry answered the next half inning. Back to their current margin of being up 2-1. '93rd pitch coming from Hannah Gore. Up the middle, backhanded stab from Campbell, but nothing she can do with it. And that was a victory alone, just keeping that ball in the infield. But you've got 2 captains on now. Donnelly, the pinch runner, on second, and Brooke Griever with the infield single.
Yeah, tough play for Gamble. Might have been just out of her reach. Not sure. It looks like she actually loses her footing there. Again, one of those moments where you're not quite sure if she loses her footing just because she takes a bad step or if she's just trying to get rid of it before she actually has it in her glove.
So Caroline Helmer, your DP. She's singled back in the 4th. She's re-entered since they ran for her that inning. Donnelly on second, Griever on first. So tying run in scoring position with Donnelly there on your screen. Can they bring the sophomore home? Well, even though CNU swept their super regional we mentioned against Virginia Wesleyan, that was a 9-inning affair for the clincher, 5-2 final. They had shut out all their other opponents this postseason in the NCAA tournament. As a foul ball. A walk, a pop out, and a single so far. Gamble just can't get to it. They still have a force at second, but not in time. Bases loaded for the Captains, as Helmer with the base hit.
And Gamble has to make a tough choice there. Can she cut it off by taking a bit of a sharper angle? And a good effort. Not much else you can do there. You have to take that, either nail that first step or you don't.
Well, Berry has stranded bases loaded back in the 4th inning. Captains would like to avoid doing the same here in the 6th. There's just one out. And they're going to have a pinch hitter for Carmichael. This is Meredith Brickner, a freshman, again from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Second time we see Meredith this week.
Pinch hitting for Carmichael in the 7th spot for CNU, number 43.
Brickner is batting 1,000 with 2 runs batted in on that lone pinch hit in the victory against WPI, and they needed both those runs. They won 8-6. So Brickner steps in here in the 7th spot in the lineup with bases loaded. They should score one. Thornton comes in, fires one home. They can't cut it off. And we are again in the midst of a brand new ball game. 2 runs apiece. Donnelly, the pinch runner, comes home to score. Everybody else advances 60 feet on the sac fly from Brickner.
And a good piece of hitting there from Brickner. Again, not doing too much. Knows her role in that pinch hit spot. Knows she needs to take it to the outfield or poke it through somehow. Opportunity to hit behind her runner. Well executed there by the pinch hitter.
Now Griever advanced to third. Helmer actually stayed put over at first base. Here's Sarah Proctor, 0 for 2 today. And they will concede second base now to Helmer 1 pitch later. Too few teams believe that they can successfully execute a clean throw and catch and tag applied without conceding a run. Opposite field, that gets down. Captains have their first lead here today. Trying to stretch it to a double, and 2 runs come home to score. Griever and Helmer gives CNU a 2-run lead as the 8th spot comes through, Sarah Proctor.
And that's got to feel good for Proctor. Her outfield's had a couple miscues today. She's able to contribute to her team by just popping it over the head of Frye. Brings in 2 runs instead of just 1. Gives Martin a bit more of that run padding. Now 4-2 for the Captains.
3 runs this inning. Couple more with 2 outs. A 2-run double for Proctor. And there will be a change in the circle. Emily Stanley goes to Hannah Gore, accepts the ball. She'll be handing it off to a very capable Blair Hall when you rejoin us, trying to minimize the damage, as the only once beaten all year Captains of CNU have claimed their first lead. Comes
For Berry College, number 26, Blair Hall. Hall now in the circle.
Blair Hall's been in lineup as your DP swinging a bat. She'll now step into the circle and inherit 1 base runner in scoring position. Sarah Proctor brought a couple home. All 3 runs have scored this inning on a sac fly and then the 2-run double from Proctor. In fact, all but 1 run in this ball game have been scored with 2 outs. The exception being the solo shot from Morgan Frye to lead off the 4th inning for Berry. Lincoln Rose, Sydney Gearbracht with you as we saw Hall get the start against TLU. She went 4 innings, only allowed 1 run against that prolific offense, struck out 5 and just walked 1 of the 16 batters she faced. As that was 58 pitches in that start for Hall. As she faces Maddie Houle and then the top of the order. Right now she just needs to get 1 out to get out of the 6th inning.
And an incredible story from Blair Hall after suffering an unfathomable loss of her dad passing. Took 4 years off of softball. She's back here.
And she's back in the dugout.
Sure is.
Strikes out the lone batter she faces. As she fans Hool. But CNU does the damage. 3 runs in the top of the 6th.
Sixth inning, CNU scores 3 runs on 2 hits. There was 1 error.
Winners. CNU was trailing an inning ago, but a 3 spot in the top of the 6th. Now they have a lead to defend, as this is the first time that we'll see a captain pitcher in the circle with the lead. It's also the first time we'll see someone other than Jamie Martin throw a pitch today, as the captains go to Kate Alger, that other first-year pitcher who finally returned last week from back injury and comes in a save situation as she's trying to secure 6 outs to keep CNU with only 1 loss in the loss column for the season, more importantly undefeated here in Salem.
And what a time to be coming back from injury.
And now at first base, number 19, Caroline Helmer.
And Alger doesn't have a loss on the season. So looking to just shut down the Berry offense.
Shortstop, number 9.
Remember, they ran for a second time for Caitlin Hasty, so she's done at first base. Caroline Helmer is going to replace her defensively for CNU. A senior from Chesapeake here in Virginia. And you wanted onions, and I believe she said no mustard. Just taking care of some things here. There's a lot of paperwork if you aspire to be an official.
It's not all balls and strikes.
All right, so Shelby Daniel will be the first to face the new pitcher for the captains, Alger. As the 5 spot in the order. Allergic to mushrooms. And being a Vikings fan today has had its ups and downs. A couple of leads. Now your first deficit down by 2, down to your final 6 outs. And trying to catch them off guard with the bunt, may have done so. Shelby Daniel, after striking out and popping out today, is now 1 for 3 with an infield single.
Sometimes you just have to find a way to get it done. If you're not finding it by taking your hack, sometimes you got to lay a bunt down. It certainly catches the captain defense off guard.
She'll stay in to run. Here's Blair Hall. Began as your DP, now as your pitcher. She'd like to improve her chances of picking up a save. Little reversal of roles after she got the win the other day. And Gore got the save. Hall today a strikeout and a ground out. All of that against Jamie Martin, who this inning has given way to Kate Alger. So Martin never got to pitch with the lead, but presumably she would be your winning pitcher if this held up. And we are mindful that's a big if.
Hall doing a nice job of adjusting her timing pitch to pitch. A little bit behind. We see her foul that one straight back. Whenever we see her foul that one straight back as a pitcher and as a hitter too, you know that you're right on it. Might see something off speed here.
The 1-2. And around on that one. Leadoff single from Shelby Daniel. Able to put that bunt down, and it was such a good bunt. they didn't even bother throwing over to first. You see the Seagulls of Salisbury already with 9 innings under their belt this week, as they won in an extra inning comeback walk-off against Milliken, who already has now been retired from the tournament this week. Their second loss today. Slow roller right side. Chance for 2. They'll be happy to have 1. They'll get none. 2 aboard for the Vikings, as Matty Houle just couldn't get that ball to behave.
Again, Lincoln, we've seen some pretty routine plays where some of our middle infielders from multiple different teams have been caught sitting on the ball instead of playing the bounce by moving through it.
3 errors by CNU. At the moment, though, still up by 2. But the tying run is now on. Abby Gamble shows bunt, seeing if she can get at least 1 runner a little bit closer to home. Gamble a strikeout in the second, singled in the fourth, but remember, she was left standing on third base with bases loaded when Jamie Martin was able to get a strikeout to end that inning. Still might get one more stab at it. Count 1-1.
And Abby Gamble playing some lights-out defense today. Hitting 7th for Berry, and that 7-8-9 order has been incredibly important for this offense in generating momentum, generating some offensive production for this squad all year long.
And unable to get the bunt down. Let's see what they have in mind. And Shelby Daniel led off with the infield single, as she did get her bunt down. Blair Hall reached on the air on the right side of the infield. So 2 on, nobody out. Some critical runners on the base paths right now for Berry, down by 2. And Alger with her first strikeout in relief.
It's a big out there for Alger. And that ball floats up, starts mid-waist, floats up to the shoulders. Again, you think that you're going to be able to pound that ball. Eyes get real big. Just a good pitch there by Alger.
Sydney Maroney 1 for 2 today. She too was left on the base paths back in that 4th inning with bases loaded. The only run that inning, Morgan Frye's leadoff home run. There's no guarantee we see Morgan again in this ball game at the plate. Berry will try to correct that. Griever, well executed. Natalie Carmichael knows she has the responsibility of covering third, beats the runner to the bag, and Griever was all in on getting the lead out to a win.
Some good, solid defense and communication by Griever and Carmichael. And a good awareness of where your runners are. Carmichael not even necessarily at the bag yet. And Griever just trusting the captain of her infield to be where she says she'll be.
So still runners on second and first. They now go by the names of Hall and Maroney. Blair Hall, your DP / now pitcher for the Vikings, reaching on that infield error. Followed by Maroney on the fielder's choice. Here's Aaliyah Thornton. She already has an infield base hit of her own, 1 for 2 today. Some nice plays out in center field.
And Thornton again in a 2-out scenario. Very similar to where she was in her last at-bat. Opportunity to play some small ball here.
And there's Thornton trying to both advance the runners and get on base with her speed. First team all-conference, Aaliyah Thornton, your number 9 hitter. Well, we're back to the top of the lineup. First inning of relief for Kate Alger in a save situation. Needing 6 outs, and right now, needing 1 out to get out of this inning. Thornton pulls this one. And the Vikings will strand 2 base runners. That's now 5 base runners left on over the last 3 innings. Along the way, the captains have secured a 2-run lead, looking for more. Well, we don't officially have a home team, but pretty darn close right here in Virginia. The captains of CNU have a 2-run advantage. Now we'll point out by the rules of softball, they are not the home team. They are the visiting team. Berry will have a chance to answer in the bottom of the 7th. The question for Berry is, will it just be 2 runs that they'll need to force extra innings, or will CNU be able to extend their advantage here? Both teams have gone to their, quote, bullpen now. As here's Blair Hall back in the circle for her 2nd inning of work. Top of the order for both teams to get the 7th inning started. We're okay with that.
We sure are.
Here's Caitlin Abernathy. She walked back in the 5th inning before being left on base. Her first time to see Hall. So Abernathy, Roberts, and Hasty. Top third of the order has not produced any hits. They're 0 for 4. As I'm still correct as usual. But they have walked 4 times with a couple of runs. Caitlin Hasty was never given a chance. Now, mind you, Hasty will not be batting this inning. She's done for the day. They ran for her twice, and it worked both times. Both Hess and Donnelly scored. The 1-2 from Hall. And Jackson was hoping she could throw that one around. Some of the competitors this week for WPI, the Engineers sticking around. Soak in the sun and watch some quality softball from some of their peers after a great season for the Engineers. Came to a conclusion earlier today. We also saw Milliken eliminated in our most recent ball game against Eastern. Those elimination games got us started. We're in the winner's bracket right now. CNU and Berry. CNU 43-1 on the year, Berry 35-11. Coach Parr had to lead his women against the defending national champions last weekend in the Super Regional and were able to sweep to punch their ticket. Abernathy has her 2nd free pass. As the captains, let's see if they can plate at least one more to help out Kate Alger in the circle the next half inning. Bailey Roberts, a strikeout and 2 foul outs. Her first time to see Hall. After her, it will be revealed to us as to who will bat in that 3-hole. Left side gets through. 2 on for the captains with nobody out.
Here's the thing about your offense not producing in the earlier innings of the game. You know, again, according to numbers, that they're due at this point. And we knew that Bailey Roberts was going to be due, whether it was going to be the big hit or just poking it through. Some good offensive execution there. Again, not trying to do too much. No outs on the board. What more could you want?
So today we saw Caitlin Hasty in the 3-hole. They ran for her in the 4th. She re-entered at first base. Walked. They ran for her in the 6th. She exited the ball game. So at first base, it was Caroline Helmer. But now it is Donnelly who will swing a bat in a very busy spot in this lineup, both offensively and defensively. So we saw Donnelly score as a pinch runner last inning. She came out of the ball game, so she's re-entering. Sophomore from Perry Hall, Maryland. A .333 hitter with a home run and 5 RBI. Comes up with 2 on and nobody out. And again, presumably is here to advance the runners. With Abernathy on second, Roberts on first. Everybody pinching in, expecting that bunt, and let's see if there's been a change of plan as Keith Parr wants to talk to her. Again, no Caitlin Hasty, who walked all 3 times that she came up. You've got 2 on here. With nobody out. The bunt is down. And bases loaded. Well, you saw that Frye felt the pressure to barehand that ball with the speed of Donnelly, and when she didn't get it cleanly, really had no play to be made unless somebody drifted off their bag. Abernathy to third, Roberts to second, and Donnelly is aboard.
And again, just goes to show how effective small ball can be, especially in these moments, right? So this is Berry's game to lose at this point. They're feeling a bit of the pressure. Hall, no outs on the board. Now bases are loaded.
That's that breath you were talking about.
That's the breath I'm talking about. Absolutely. And again, sometimes coaches will call a timeout just a little too late, and I would like to see, as this tournament continues to go on, the battery, some of the captains of the infield, even potentially a shortstop calling a timeout, giving the team in the infield and the defense an opportunity to take a breath, reminder to settle down.
It is officially a single for Donnelly, as, again, Frye was going to have to barehand that wheel around and make a perfect throw, none of which ever transpired. So here's Katie Curran, 0 for 3 today. Foul out, fly out, pop out. She faces Blair Hall for a for a first time now. Bases loaded, a walk and 2 singles this inning with nobody out. And while this could be a huge inning, you know the captains would be content even if they could just get a sacrifice fly here, trading out for a run. Abernathy on third, Roberts second, Donnelly on first. For your cleanup hitter, Katie Curran. Count 1 and 2. 9 home runs on the year for Curran, 30 RBI coming into the week. 0 for 3 today against Viking pitching.
You have a couple players that, if you're the captains, you want up in this situation. Potentially Abernathy. Definitely Caitlin Hasty, but we've seen the last of her.
Hall taking too long for Curran's liking as she steps out.
And I love to see Curran taking control of her at bat.
Again, this inning began with the top of the order. That's exactly how the next half inning will begin as well for Berry. Question is, what will the deficit be? So far, no damage done. But bases loaded, nobody out. Berry would appreciate a force at home. Curran back to Hall. There's no play to be made. It's a 3-run lead for the captains. Curran puts it into play. Abernathy comes home.
And just a bit of a comeback here to Hall. Not able to keep a glove on it. And for this captain squad that sometimes relies on the long ball, haven't needed it in order to put these runs up on the board.
It's an RBI single. That's a couple of balls hit that you just have to rule them as singles.
Not necessarily routine unless that play is made cleanly.
So Roberts on third. She had the single. Donnelly, who re-entered, singled as well. And your third straight single from Curran. Bases loaded. Curran's brought home Abernathy, who led off the inning with the walk. Here's Brooke Griever. Brooke already with an RBI double in the fourth. Would reach on an error and score last inning. And you could have ruled that error last inning easily a hit for Griever as well, but not the case. As Jackson talks to Hall. Kate Alger enjoying all this. She entered the ball game in relief in a save situation in a 4-2 affair. She's got a little bit larger margin for error when the bottom of the seventh comes around. Griever ahead in the count, 2-0. Bases loaded, nobody out. Fifth batter of the inning. 3-0.
Great to see some of these seniors, some of these veterans producing in these big moments for their team. Again, not necessarily a team that's had their back up against the wall very much this season. Obviously, if they have, they've been able to work out of it. Only one loss. But you can see that this is a team that trusts themselves. Haven't really seen them change in terms of energy, in terms of the way that they've showed up. Been very consistent across the board.
Remember how easy that final out was for Hall when she came in the sixth inning. Struck out the lone batter she faced. They're still looking for the first out. They do get it. A forced play. Great recognition by Frye. Would have been tempting to step on first, but she still had the play to be made. Roberts is forced out at home for the first out, but bases are still loaded with one away.
First base, number 19, Caroline Helmer.
And the captain's still putting the ball in play, forcing Berry to make routine plays, albeit cleanly. And Frye just heads up there. Good work.
And a first pitch strike to Caroline Helmer. Helmer today 2 for 3. Singled in the fourth when they ran for her. She got to touch home in the sixth. That was the last run scored before this inning. This ball out of play, now in a hole 0-2. So it took the fifth batter of this inning for the first out to rear its head. One run has scored. They denied the second run with the force there as Roberts was out. So your base runner's on via 2 hits and a fielder's choice right now. And it still has a chance to be a big inning for the captains.
Yeah, any offensive production the captains create here.
Out towards right. They'll send the runner and test the arm of Maroney. Throw off the mark. And the captains have their second insurance run here in the seventh inning. All runners advance. Sacrifice fly from Caroline Helmer. Gives her first run batted in today.
An easy slide. I love how every single one of the captain's players, once they're, and I've seen this on a couple teams actually, like running across first, trying to see if they can sell it to the umpire by giving the safe motion with their hands.
Now remember, they pinch hit for Carmichael last inning. Sacrifice fly from Brickner. Carmichael re-entered at short. So she's back to swinging a bat. She's 0 for 2 today. If she goes 0 for 3, she's still going to have a good game as, again, your anchor at shortstop. Five runs over the past 2 innings for CNU. They grabbed their first lead and they have built upon it.
A bit of a split grip here from Carmichael.
This will get back into the netting. 7th batter this inning, Natalie Carmichael. Struck out looking to end the second. Lined out to Abby Gamble, who made that tremendous catch to end the 4th inning.
Still a split grip. Looking to maybe pop one over the infield.
Fair ball. There's your 3rd and final out, but not before the captains score 2 more in the 7th. And that means the Vikings come up in the home half, needing to score at least 4 to stay in the winner's bracket hunt.
Runs on 3 hits, no errors committed.
All right, now that's the Kate Alger fan club. She is on for her 2nd inning of work. It is a save situation for her, entering last inning in a 2-run affair. It's not her fault that CNU found a couple more runs for her to work with. Now a 4-run cushion. Well, just as CNU began the 7th inning with the top of their order, the Vikings will do the same. So Katie White, whose resume today includes a double and a run scored, 1 for 3. Comes up for the first time since back in the 4th inning. It'll be White, Jackson, and Jackson. They are combined 3 for 9 today. Your 2 runs, Katie White doubled in the 3rd, brought home by Riley Jackson. Then more recently, Morgan Frye briefly gave Berry a 2-1 lead with a solo shot to lead off the 4th. Carmichael. And the comeback window for the Vikings has been trimmed to just 2 outs to work with.
We've seen this Berry team produce with 2 outs in 2 games now. Be interesting to see if they're able to make it happen before they have to test themselves in the loser's bracket of this tournament.
Riley Jackson 2 for 3 with an RBI. And they ask for a little bit more from her here. She has hits in each of her last 2 at-bats, including a double in the 5th. And she's got her 3rd straight hit, Riley Jackson. There is life left for the Vikings, 2 outs to work with. As it gives way to Anna Jackson. Berry is out hitting CNU, but just 2 runs on 8 hits. Remember, they left bases loaded back in the 4th. They were hoping to return the favor to CNU, but the captains have scored 5 over the last 2 innings. Anna Jackson today 0 for 3. It's reached on an error, had a fly out to right, and a ground out to the shortstop. National Catch of the Year as just a sophomore. And now a 1-2 count to the favor of the pitcher, Kate Alger. Berry led 1-0, then later led 2-1. This will drop. 2 on with 1 out. That was a tough ball to read initially, but eventually became clear. Get down into shallow center. That's back-to-back singles for Berry with 1 out.
And not necessarily the most well-hit or hard-hit ball, but just enough. Bit of a jam sandwich, but enough to poke it over the infield.
That's giving me an idea for the midday snack. Here's Morgan Frye. She's the last Viking to touch home. Her solo blast in the 4th inning gave her 13 for the year. breaking her own program mark this season. And they would, without sounding too greedy, like to ask her to maybe do it again. A 3-run blast would still just pull them within 1 run. And looking for a cheap out here. Roberts able to squeeze it in. Vikings are down to their final out here in the winners bracket.
Shortstop, number 9, Shelby Daniel.
Here's Shelby Daniel, who singled last inning, 1 for 3 today. Daniels on the base paths when Brooke Griever at third came up on a ball and did a great turn and throw to Carmichael to get the force out at third. Into the glove of Maddie Houle, and that's your ball game. The Captains still have lost exactly once all year. They are 44-1. More importantly, they are the first team in Salem to begin 2-0 in their championship journey this week. Captains have one of the inside tracks to the national championship here in 2022.
Well, and we saw the captain consistency and why they've been such a powerhouse all season long, starting with that offensive consistency, starting in the 4th inning, 1 run, and then putting in 5 in innings 6 and 7, really solidifying this win. You're seeing why they've been successful all year long, Lincoln.
Next time we see Berry, they'll be playing in their first elimination game. Oh, by the way, that's tonight. A quick turnaround. But next, it'll be the Seagulls of Salisbury and the Thunder of Trine, a couple teams that prevailed in extra innings back on day 1, collide with our 4th game of the day. 3 games in the books. We're halfway home here in Salem.